Good morning. This is Todd Davis with the Fourth and Bodark Church of Christ in Pecos, Texas, coming back to you once again. Just wanted to tell you good morning. The question that was asked this time is, why don't I do these little blurbs more often? Because they can be somewhat encouraging. So I'm just going to go with it. But with that, I want to invite everyone, anytime you have opportunity, to come and share time with us here at Fourth and Bodark in Pecos. Our meeting times, see if I can get it right this time. Bible class is at 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Worship is at 11 Sunday morning. Also, 5 p.m. Sunday evening, except for the third Sunday when we have a fellowship meal right after the first one. So roughly 12:30, and then a second service at 1:30. Along with all of our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters. Also on Wednesday, we have Bible study at 7 o'clock p.m. And on Monday nights, from 6 until 7:30, we have Bible classes, one that's for men, one that's for women, right here at Fourth and Bodark in Pecos. With all that said, the thing I wanted to talk about today is just discouragement. Yesterday, and I know you can't really tell it by looking at me, but I'm a bit of a guy who loves fitness, and I try to be in shape and have that low heart rate and do everything right and kind of take care of my body so that I can eat foods I like with less worry. But yesterday, I was out on my bicycle, and here in Pecos yesterday, wind was blowing 14 miles an hour. And I know that because I looked at my little device that checks it for me. And riding on a bicycle, a road bicycle, into the wind is a very hard thing. And it was getting dark, and it was windy, and it was cold. And as I was pedaling into the wind, oh man, it was just so discouraging. And I wanted to turn around, and I wanted to go back with the wind behind me, which is a whole lot easier. And I just asked myself, why am I doing this? It's kind of ridiculous that here I am. I'll be 60 years old in just a couple of months, and yet I'm out there huffing and puffing and making a fool out of myself, wearing the fluorescent yellow, looking like a giant highlighter, going down the road at a snail's pace into the wind. For what purpose? And then this morning when I woke up, my favorite radio station that I always listen to is KMOC FM out of Wichita Falls. I listen to them on my app, and by the way, I recommend them. But one of their morning DJs is Keith Sanderson, he and his wife. And every year as a fundraiser for their radio station, they ride in the Hotter Than Hell 100-mile race in Wichita Falls, along with a whole group from the radio station to raise support. But the thing is, Keith has multiple sclerosis. And MS is a disease where your body kind of loses different abilities, and the ability to cool itself when you're hot, for one thing, or the balance to keep you upright on a bike. And yet year after year after year, Keith is out there on his bike pedaling so that he can continue to broadcast a Christian radio station. And so as I was on my bike last night and reminded of it this morning, one of the thoughts that I had is, well, at least I've got it somewhat better than some of these other folks. And so I look to people and I get inspiration because of what they're doing. I see that somebody else is already doing it, and that gives me a little encouragement that I also can go through it. Well, I wonder how many times it's that way in our spiritual walk. How many times do we just get bogged down? We look around, and it seems like everybody in the church building has either gotten older, or they've moved off, or they've quit coming. The people in the world out there, it seems like they've become less godly and more worldly. And it seems like as a society that what we do as Christians just doesn't have very much effect. And it's so easy to get discouraged. On the other hand, there are times that it feels like maybe you're the only person working, or you're the only person who can see a situation or a problem, and that aloneness, it feels discouraging. And then we get reminded when we pick up our Bible that there's someone who's gone through every trial, who's gone through everything that we can claim to have gone through themselves. And because of that, we have a hope. Hebrews chapter 12 in the English Standard Version picks up with the story from Hebrews chapter 11. In Hebrews chapter 11, a lot of people will call it the Hall of Fame of Faith. And what it is a list of everybody in the Old Testament, not everybody, but many people from the Old Testament that you would call a hero of the faith. By faith Abraham, by faith Isaac, by faith Jacob, and it goes all the way through the people who literally were sawn in two for their faith. And then Hebrews chapter 12 says this, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising its shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. You see, God knew that we can become discouraged. He knew that we can get tired. He knew that the struggles are very, very real. And so one of the things that Jesus did was he set the example for us, and it said for the joy before him. Well, the joy before him included a cross, but it also included being seated at the right hand of God to make intercession for you and for me. When we start to get tired or weary or discouraged, when we start feeling like we're the only ones left, do what the Bible says. Put your eyes on Jesus. And by the way, I think one of the reasons that God tells us to meet together, to encourage one another, is so that we realize we're not alone and we're not the only ones going through it. If He endured, so can we. Today, let Christ carry your burden. That's what He said. Come unto me, all you who are labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. If you need rest today, find that rest in Jesus Christ, the author and perfecter of our faith. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you here very soon. If you have any questions or any thoughts, anything that you'd like me to expand on, please let me know. Thank you very much. Have a great day.